How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to take a look at how much crypto you need to retire. So we're going to take a look at a handful of different cryptocurrencies. We're going to make some assumptions. We're going to think about where the cryptos are going to be about 8 years from now in 2030 based on where they're at now and market cycles and market caps. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to project out how much you would need to buy now, or if you're going to dollar cost average, and what might make the most sense for you depending on your risk tolerance, how much money you have, and that kind of thing. Now, of course, like I said, we're going to take some assumptions into play here, and I'm going to go through them. I'm going to talk about the risks and rewards to different styles of investing, but you always have to do your own research and you always have to make your own decisions because I'm not a financial advisor and I can't see the future. And then at the end of the video, I will clarify the title a little bit more and say why you need exactly that amount of crypto. So if you guys like this kind of thing, please leave a like, please hit the subscribe underneath the video as well. I think we're going to do this more often. It seems to be kind of a favorite of everyone watching, and I don't want to ever sling hopium, but I think it is important to remember where we're going, because if you just look 4 years ago or 8 years ago, we have come so far. Bitcoin's had a 300x from the 2013 cycle, and I'm not saying we're going to do that in the future, but I think when we have gone sideways for a while or gone negative or kept on falling down, it is hard to remember that over time, Bitcoin does extremely well, and so does the whole cryptocurrency market. So we're going to take a look at that here today. And if you guys want more of these videos, let me know in the comment section. I think I'll be able to tell just by how many people stay through to the end, but it's always nice to hear from you directly. Now, there is going to be a link down there to FTX US and FTX app. So both of these are great ways to invest. They have some of the cheapest fees. And the great thing about this is today we're going to look at dollar cost averaging and seeing how that can get you to becoming a millionaire in crypto. And this app allows you to set weekly, bi-weekly, monthly transfers and buys for certain crypto. So it makes it really simple. You don't have to go in every single time and worry about the price fluctuating and then maybe decide not to buy, when really over time you should probably be dollar cost averaging unless you're an experienced trader. Now, FTX US also allows you to do a lot of different chart analysis and allows, like I said, for really cheap fees. So if you do want to get in and out more often, it's also a good option as well. They also, with that link underneath the video, give you free crypto when you trade $10 or more. So definitely check out both those links underneath the video. I would highly suggest it. I actually have both of these accounts underneath the video myself, and I use both of them. So the cryptocurrency market has obviously gone negative over the last couple months. I think this is due to a lot of different macro problems and macro economic factors. Now, Bloomberg just said Bitcoin will be one of the best assets on earth when the Fed pauses rate hikes. This has obviously caused Bitcoin's price to fall down a lot, along with wars, supply chain constraints, global recession fears, all this kind of thing. We are also pretty sold off, right? We've been selling off for now 9 weeks in a row, maybe 10 weeks if we fall a little bit further over the next 24 hours or so into the weekly close. And we could still fall further, right? Because usually when we've seen market bottoms, it's right around this 200-week moving average, which right now is around $22,000. It usually comes up though, because obviously we're still above that, so it does rise over time. But we may hit that mark, but usually it's a good time to be averaging in before and after that, because it's really hard to get in at the perfect time. You know, we never know what the market's going to do. Maybe it doesn't hit a cycle bottom, right, at that 200-week moving average, because maybe there's just enough institutional money. That's what we've seen in the past several times. But every cycle is different, as we can see, because we've never had 9 weeks in a row of red. So maybe we're just too oversold. Now, I personally think that we could definitely hit this $22,000 mark, but I'm not waiting to dollar cost average, and today I'll show you why. So let's take a look at the market here. Obviously, we have the gold market, which is much larger than crypto right now. It's worth $11.9 trillion. Now, Bitcoin is just 0.57 trillion, and then you can go down the line. I'm going to look at a variety of different assets, all the way down to Polygon, and there are smaller cryptos than Polygon, but Polygon's still a $5 billion asset. I don't really want to get into microcaps and looking at how much you need to retire, because I think these are some of the best cryptos. And there are some people that don't like some of these cryptos. Like some people think Solana is not going to do well because it has network outages. I think Cardano is pretty slow to advance and move forward, and I think they still have a lot to prove, but I'm going to include this because a lot of people like Cardano as well. So I'm just going to show you a variety of different cryptos on this list. So let's move to the year 2030, right? So right now, Bitcoin is so much smaller than gold. It's 1/20th the market cap essentially. Let's say Bitcoin reaches gold's market cap, and we're assuming gold moves up about 3% a year over the next 8 years. We're just assuming that it does appreciate a bit, and we're not going to really take into account really inflation and inflation in the tokens, right? Because obviously Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Polygon, these kinds of cryptos can pay interest as well if you stake them. So they are inflationary. Bitcoin's also inflationary, but just a bit. It's just a bit inflationary. So we're going to say Bitcoin hits gold's market cap. We're going to say Ethereum is half of Bitcoin's market cap, still not even close to a flippening. Then we're going to say that Cardano or Solana, they're half of Ethereum. So we're not even going to say that they overtake Ethereum, but it's still going to be much larger than it is today, assuming that they can stay in the top 10. Then we're going to say Polygon is half of those market caps. Now, I realize that this is a huge if. The reason I say that, and a lot of people don't know, is top 10 cryptos don't always stay in the top 10. So 5 years ago today, back when we were just starting the 2017 cycle and we started to pump up in price, you can see Bitcoin was the largest cryptocurrency. Ethereum was on there, XRP. A lot of us know these cryptocurrencies. NEM, which I don't know much about NEM at all. Ethereum Classic, I hear about a good amount. Litecoin, Dash, Stratus, Monero, I hear about Monero and Waves, but some of these cryptos aren't even close to the top 10 now, and some of them I've never even heard of. If we look even further back, 2013, look at some of these top 10. Namecoin, Purecoin, Novacoin, and these are $1 million market caps in the top 5. Right? So much can change over a few years. The cryptocurrencies we're looking at now might not even be here. Solana was new just as of last year, I believe, and it's still in beta. Now, things can move really quickly as well. If you look here, this is 5 years ago today, June, but then just, 8 months later in December? No, 6 months later in December, look at the price changes for some of these. Bitcoin went from $2,500 all the way up to nearly $20,000. Now, I believe this is right around the peak, but just keep in mind that these cryptos can move quickly, which is another reason that maybe you don't want to wait for the exact bottom and maybe you want dollar cost average. So we're going to say that we're going to take into account all these assumptions, and we're going to say that these are at the top of the list, right? They're still in the top 5 or top 10 cryptos. Then Bitcoin's price would be under 800,000, so not crazy to think about by 2030, unless you just don't think Bitcoin's going to continue growing. Ethereum would go up to 64,000, which is a significant increase. Cardano is going to be around $105 in this case. Solana about 11,000, and Polygon 222. And I'm not trying to be crazy here. I'm just saying it is possible. Now, not all these will get there. A lot of them will probably die off, or some of them will die off. You can see the multiples, how much they would go up from here. So gold would go up 26%. Bitcoin would be about a 25x from here. Ethereum would be about 35x. Cardano nearly a 200. Solana 289. And a lot of these are higher too because we've been selling off as well. Now, I think you have to keep in mind right now as well that a lot of these cryptos will probably continue to sell off against Bitcoin until Bitcoin shows some strength and we start going back into a bull market and there's risk on. So just keep that in mind too. There's risk averaging into these because they might continue to bleed. Now, assuming we get up to these numbers here, these prices, this is how many coins you need. About 1.27 Bitcoin to become a millionaire, about 16 ETH, 9,500 Cardano, 91 Solana, or about 4,500 Polygon. Now, to become a millionaire, that means that you need about $38,000 of Bitcoin now. You need about 29,000 or 28,000 in Ethereum. Cardano about 5,300, Solana 3,500, and Polygon 2,650. I don't think this is necessarily going to happen to all these cryptos. Like I said earlier, I think a lot of them, or a few of them, might not even be here in 8 years, but a lot of them probably will be in the same position they're in now. So I gave different probabilities too, and we'll show how much you need to DCA over time, but I kind of assigned a probability to show you really the cost, because you could say, hey, there's some $1 million gaming cryptocurrency and it might be $10 billion, and that's a huge 10,000x, right? That's great, but what's the probability of that? Really low. So I assigned some probabilities just to make this a little bit even, because honestly, it's a risk if you throw in $3,000 and you think you're going to become a millionaire in Polygon years down the line. So probability of Polygon hitting a $1.8 trillion market cap, it's probably below this. I just was trying to be a little bit gracious, but probability of Bitcoin hitting, $800,000 market cap, maybe 70%. Ethereum, 30%. Cardano, Solana, Polygon hitting those numbers over here, $105, 11,000, and some of these other numbers. It's pretty low, probably 10%. So the weighted price brings these more to maybe a more even playing field, where the probability is higher that Bitcoin's going to move up, but it's not going to move up as much as some of these altcoins. While some of these altcoins might move up more, but there's a much lower chance that they'll actually get there. So just keep that in mind, right? So what if you want to become a millionaire? How much do you need to dollar cost average? How much do you need to buy? Because maybe you don't have $27,000 or $37,000 to buy Bitcoin now. Maybe you don't have 1.27 Bitcoin already. Well, if you invested $13,000, assuming we get up to that number that we talked about before, in that just short of $800,000 range, you could buy about $13,000 worth every single year for the next 9 years. So that would bring you to the end of 2030. Now, I never said that becoming a Bitcoin millionaire would be easy, and you still have to dollar cost average when the market's up, when the market's down, when there's fear in the market. That would assume that you're just a robot, or you just set it and automatically buy, like on FTX. You have to buy $13,000 a year. So I realize that's a lot of money for some people. Like I said, though, it's not going to be easy to become a millionaire, even in Bitcoin, right? It's going to probably give you a better return than most other assets, but it still doesn't mean that you can put in $1,000 and then become a millionaire 8 years in the future. Now, what if you had a little bit more money right now? What if you already have some Bitcoin, or you want to invest more now so you can invest later a little bit less? Well, if you put in $16,000 and then you decrease this by about 12% a year because you want to buy the most right now because it's cheaper, then you realize as time goes on there's less of a reward, so I'm not going to invest as much. You can invest 12% less a year, starting with $16,000, and you'd still have that 1.27 Bitcoin that you need at the end to become a millionaire. Now, what if we go to a different asset? What if we go to Ethereum? Ethereum starting off under $1,800 today. We expect it in this scenario again to hit about $64,000. Probably a big if, because who knows if Ethereum is going to be the top of the layer ones 8 years from now. But assuming you invest $10,000 right now, over the next 9 years, you would have the required amount of Ethereum, about 15 to 16 Ethereum, to have $1 million worth. Now, if you want to offset this and you want to do more now, or you already have some Ethereum now, again, you could invest about $12,000 now, decrease this by 12% a year, and you'd have that 15 Ethereum by 2030. If we move over to another asset, these are higher risk, but more potential reward if they actually get to the market caps we're talking about. Cardano, 56 now, 56 cents, up to $105. That's a huge increase, like a 200x. Just crazy when you think about it that way. Assuming you invested $50 a week or $2,600 a year, you could get up to about 9,600 Cardano, which would bring you to $1 million in this scenario. And then if you want to invest more upfront, invest less over time because there's less potential, you can invest 3,900 today or this year, and then invest about 48% less each subsequent year, and you'd still have that 9,500, almost, investing half as much each year. Then if we go over to Solana even has more upside, assuming it gets to the same market cap, because it is smaller now than Cardano. Assuming they can fix some of the issues that they're having, maybe they put the stock market on Solana, or some other games and stuff like that becomes really popular, they would hit $11,000 like we said above. You can invest $1,750. You would be able to get to about 90 Solana. If you want to invest more up front, you could invest $2,600 today or this year, then invest half as much over time, and you'd get about the 90 Solana that you need. Now, I'm not even gonna go into Polygon because Solana itself is already a crazy multiple, like a 300x. I don't really need to go into Polygon with a 375x. If it got to the market caps we're talking about above, you'd probably have to invest about 1,400, about 1,200, something like that, right up front and throughout the next 9 years to get up to that $1 million mark. And I'm not saying that this is possible for everyone. I'm not saying that each of these is going to get to these numbers either. I'm just trying to show you that over time you can create a lot of wealth through compounding and through great asset appreciation like in crypto. If it was me and I was looking at building up a portfolio that I wanted to build to $1 million position, I would take a hybrid approach. Right now I'm investing entirely. All the crypto that I'm investing, or all the money that I'm investing into crypto, is going entirely into Bitcoin. But if I was just going to set something for the next 9 years and not touch it, I'd invest probably about 70% or so, 60 to 70, maybe even 80% into Bitcoin, then about 10 to 20% in Ethereum, and then the last 10% or so, I'd split up between a couple different cryptos that I believe strongly in. Right now, I like Solana and Polygon more than I like Cardano, but you could also include Cardano in there. So personally, I would invest heavily into Bitcoin because the fact is, I think there's a very good probability that Bitcoin will hit those high upper six figures and maybe even low seven figures over the next 8 to 10 years. I think that is a better probability than investing into something like Ethereum or Cardano with the majority of the bag, because even if there's more upside, there's also a lot higher probability that it's just not here in 10 years. So the fact is, I'd rather take a 70% chance that I make a ton of money than a 10% chance that I make even more money, even if the numbers work out better that way, just because I'm trying to secure my financial future and I'm not willing to take that amount of risk with a large amount of capital. So that's just my opinion. Everyone can make their own opinion. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to show you the numbers and show you what is possible over a long time span, especially in crypto, if we get up to some of the numbers that we think are possible. Now, to be a little bit more clear about the title of the video, just so that you don't think I'm clickbaiting, I said that you need that amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or Cardano because that is the first year amount, right? If you want a dollar cost average and set it and forget it, set the exact same amount over the next 9 years, you need about 0.44 Bitcoin. You need about 5.6 Ethereum. You need about 42 or about 4,600 Cardano. You need about 46 Solana. So that's not clickbait. I just want to be clear about that. That is a good place to start if you want a dollar cost average. If you have more, that's great. If you have less, that's okay too. Of course, we're all on our own journeys here. Now, let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Let me know if this gets you excited to keep on dollar cost averaging, or if you think this is too pie in the sky. Thank you so much. Check out the links underneath the video to FTX, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.